Growing up with The Sims taught me everything I needed to know about life. Managing my habits, social life, money, career, or so that's what I thought when I was a kid. Even after I've discarded so many gaming memories of my past, the series with its blend of emergent storytelling and outlandish writing and humor have always fascinated me as being way ahead of their time, and begged to return. I actually had to track down the physical discs on eBay to play this one. It's really difficult to find a way to play this game nowadays. So I feel that after all these years, I've finally earned the right to replay it. I was wondering for a challenge how I would manage my habits and my life to pull myself up by the bootstraps if I had $0 to start. We spawn into the neighborhood with nothing but an empty plot of land. Well, it's not truly empty. First we need to get rid of some trees, bushes, leaving us with only the non-negotiables, mailbox and trash can. Now's where the magic really happens. It's time to create our sim, the ambiguous family. The term family here means, just me. Brian, ambiguous. Now if we're going to want to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps, we're going to need a character who's active and extremely neat. Basically, the American Psycho if he had to start out from scratch. A real lady killer, so to speak. We still have one problem though, and that's the fact that we have still $20,000 to our name. Well, now it's gone down to $16,500. We'll need to make a few poor financial decisions before Brian moves himself in. So, to delete all of our money, we're just going to pay the exorbitantly expensive landscaping fees to build an Everest of dirt on our plot, and then demolish it. Well, $16,500 later and we're broke. But not only that, we've also massacred the grass that lived in our yard and made our home much less inviting than it was even before. All that's left is just one small, sad pile of dirt. And that's essentially what our protagonist is anyway, so let's begin. It looks like Brian isn't completely hopeless. He's at least got the newspaper and a magazine. So long as we stay on our property and clean up after ourselves, we at least maybe won't be arrested. I mean, technically it's not illegal to just stand there on a pile of dirt that you purchased in the middle of the neighborhood. We can wait here while we look for a job and, oh my gosh, someone's coming. Part of upward mobility in The Sims involves befriending the locals, complimenting them, shaking their hands, and tolerating them when they menace you with hand puppets. So after babysitting Mortimer, who is a sociopath, and being slapped by his wife, Bella Goth, I deemed it a poor idea to continue socializing. People are volatile. At least it was keeping me sane for now. The bigger question was, how would I make it until tomorrow, before my first day of work as a slacker? This pile of dirt wasn't going to inhabit itself. Ah, the first day of work. A unique opportunity to impress the boss and make a good first impression. Despite starting with nothing, I'd been fortunate enough to inherit some magical supplies from the itinerant magician. How would I use these things to keep my mood up before the first workday? Geronimo! I ventured down the portal and out of my property into one of the only public areas I was allowed to visit, the Carnival. Using the outhouse and the public sink were my only options. I spent the rest of the afternoon reclining on a bench, trying to avoid suspicion. Back home before sundown to meet the local cats. And then, a desperate night of sleeping in a paper bag by the side of the road. Who will care for the homeless? Off to my first day of work. From 5 to 10 a.m. it's busy, busy, busy. 90 simoleons, cash for a day's wages. Unfortunately, enough to afford only the least expensive of chairs. So it's back into the portal and eating popcorn or cotton candy to avoid or at least stave off starvation. The truth is that you can fail this challenge if you don't feed your sim. It doesn't matter how much you wet yourself, sleep on the ground, or fail to sit. In truth, it is a desperate struggle. If I didn't raise money fast, my sim would start to break. The rich get richer, and the poor get children, or die trying. And The Sims is a timeless allegory for the struggle of the 99% against the 1%, the haves versus the have-nots. At long last, I obtained a chair, my first possession I cherished and guarded like a watchdog. There were those who sought to appropriate my chair, Claire the bear, that ursine burglar who ran like Naruto, face forward to my trash. It's a rough world out there, and the poor are the most vulnerable, stealing from one another. Would you take more than just my trash? No. The Sims had a lot of weird NPCs. I spent the rest of the night intimidating the local raccoons. and ignoring the skunk squatting on my land. If I just kept a positive attitude anyway, I could escape this poverty. At least I had a view of the stars, and my needs would be slowly met. Day 2 at my job, more suspicious leeching off of public utilities, and back home to return to my chair. For what furniture I lacked, I improvised. Working is fun, and the thought of things getting easier was a motivator to take my mind off of distractions. After all, what did I have to lose? I got it down to a beat. Work, mysterious portal, return home. And before long, I had raised enough capital to fund a couch acquisition. Not only could I sit, but also sleep. Now I had twice as many options, and by selling my magical equipment, I was able to pay the government my $16 of debt, then use the leftovers to fund a griddle purchase. Burgers, burgers, burgers! I was the king of burgers. I ate 6 of them, and then ejected lemonade. It was okay. Working is fun. I lost track of the days, meeting my needs, stifling the crying before I boarded the carpool for work, and before long, life improved. I got a TV. Every couple days, there was a new purchase, helping visualize the many hours I had given to my job and making ends meet. Though life was stabilizing, I sensed complacency and began to feel like everything was becoming a treadmill. Get up, go to work, come home, repeat. In pursuit of this vague new life, I attempted to break out of the trend of keeping up with the Johnsons by staging my household furniture in unique locations to invite the curiosity of passers-by, and hopefully start up a conversation, maybe some flirting, potentially a romance. I don't want to sound like I'm opposed to buying things. There's a silver lining to all this. In The Sims, your dreams can become reality for a simple dollar value. Eventually, you will be satisfied by your amazing furniture and all of the pleasure it brings you to stand around in it. Potential friends will admire you for your new renovations, your bathroom, your kitchen, and beg to be invited over to behold your rising wealth. Bulbous in public. New lava lamp, new bed, new wall, housewarming party. They were all but passing tastes of an illusory consumerist oasis in the middle of a desert. Was I really making any friends? I guess what I'm trying to say is that it was a double-edged sword. But the wealth was beginning to seem irrelevant. I still had to work. My friends still hated me. I sometimes fainted on the ground out of exhaustion and couldn't even enjoy the fruits of my labor. Even when I won over $1,000, there was no chance to breathe and learn. I was too depressed, running a treadmill of poverty, hypnotized. Keep buying things until you fake yourself into the illusion of a better lifestyle. What I really craved was freedom. There had to be another way, a way to subvert the system. I began to forego my rich possessions and opted for a lifestyle of poverty like the Stoics. Would voluntary suffering give me any deliverance from any of this? And so it was that I lost all sense of time. It's a hell of a grind getting out of poverty. Months of another damn day, all just to live in a literal Hooverville. Yes, it seemed that the game was rigged. Until finally, one day the phone rang. Off a spurious investment, I received an unexpected windfall. 550 simoleons. I reinvested my winnings in an antique I purchased. The Genie lamp. What I would learn is the single greatest item in the game. At less than 400 simoleons, the Genies are nefarious, crooked beings who usually terrorize you, but if you cope with their trickery and misdoing for long enough, you just might get lucky. At first it was mostly evil and nefariousness, but I reinvested my winnings in, yes, more Genie lamps. You can use each of them once per day, it's simply that broken. It wasn't long before I was summoning many Genies to my backyard. But it wasn't that easy. When I wished for friends, I got enemies. When I wished for money, I got bills. Humiliating. But try as I might, I was determined to sweat my way out of poverty, no matter what it took. I stayed home from work, and in my pajamas, I summoned genie after genie after genie, until finally, treasure, fountains, billiard tables, TVs, you name it. I could resell it all to gain riches. My house became something akin to a Bitcoin mining farm, albeit with magical spirits. Fortunately, when I lost, I didn't lose much, and I could always recoup my losses. Anyway, it helped that the repo man in The Sims 1 makes a lot of mistakes. And yes, after a few months of this, I did effort my way out of poverty. I don't want to say that the meaning of life is having nice things, but, well, The Sims brings me back to a simpler time. A time when happiness could be bought for a price tag and give you bliss. And so, after an unhealthy amount of rubbing, I escaped that cell, and I embraced my new life, blessed by magical powers to achieve vast, offensive levels of wealth. Anyway, it was fun looking back into the past at this historic title. I hope you enjoyed, and special thanks to my patrons, who are both bulbous and impeccable. Until next time.